Thank you very much, Lisa. In everything that we do, please continue to stand. Thank you. In everything that we do, we must give the good Lord thanks and praise. At this time, I'd like to invite Reverend Greta St. Hill from the Methodist Ministry to offer prayers for us today. Minister.
Let us go to God in prayer. Eternal God, on this International Women's Day, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for your unwavering love, mercy, and grace towards all women. You have created us special, wonderful, and purposeful. Help us to continue to walk the path of this journey called life circumspectly, honestly, and with dignity. Help us to understand that we are nothing without you, that you are our provider, protector, and sustainer. Give us wisdom to shun the wiles of the enemy and knowledge to navigate treacherous waters of life. Merciful God, may we be guided by your precepts and aligned with your will. As we embrace the theme, Give to Gain, may we be good stewards of your resources and give willingly of our time, talents, and treasure to all causes that bring honor and glory to your holy and matchless name. As we continue to be co-workers in your kingdom here on earth, help us to be in good partnerships with those that you will continue to place in our path. May the light of your countenance be the star that guides us towards your eternal kingdom as we gain acceptance as your children. May we truly represent and represent you to all whom we may come into contact. And may your Holy Spirit anoint us for your good works and pleasure. Gracious God, we now place this event in your hands as we celebrate with each other and with you on this day, which you have orchestrated before you spoke the words, "Let there be light." Shed your light upon these proceedings, and may your holy and matchless name be glorified. In Jesus' name we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend. We want to invite you to please have a seat. Thank you so much. Just a few in-house information. The toilets are available, male and female, to the back of the hall. There is local vendors in the annex, which we'll be visiting later on, and there's also local juices on sale. I also want to take this opportunity before we continue with the program to welcome the gentlemen who are here with us supporting our women today. Please stand, each and every one of you. Adrian, Dwight, who am I seeing? Everyone who's here with us as men. We really, really appreciate having you here. Although you're in small numbers, we'll overpower you today, but that's okay. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend St. Hill. The Bible says, where two or three are gathered, he is in the midst to bless. And indeed, the Lord is here today. It is now my pleasure to invite the president of the NNP Women's Arm, Dr. Julie Dubois, to deliver the welcome remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me recognize the presence of our political leader, Honorable Emmeline Pear, and other parliamentarians who are here. I see Dr. Modeste. I see past parliamentarians. I want to also recognize the presence of our honored guest speaker, Honorable Jean Augustine, Dr. Augustine, our other invited speaker, Lady Ananda Trotman-Joseph, other members of the executive of the New National Party, and all our specially invited guests, especially our sisters who are here today to commemorate International Women's Day, and our brothers who are strongly supporting us. We thank you all for coming here this afternoon. On behalf of the New National Party Women's Arm Executive and the chairpersons of all the different constituencies, we welcome you to this special and important event that holds great significance not only for those of us here present, but for every woman in the world who understands the power and the value of a woman. 2026 sees the 115th year of the International Women's Day observation under the theme, Give to Gain. In 1911, over 1 million women supported the first International Women's Day gathering. And today, this International Women's Day event belongs to all groups, everywhere, collectively, including those of us here in this room. Besides the written or verbal theme, there is a color for International Women's Day. Historically, purple was a color that denoted justice and dignity. Now it is used to represent women. Green is a symbol of hope. Today, purple is the color of International Women's Day, and combined with green, it represents the feminist movement. As I said, International Women's Day 2026 theme is Give to Gain. That is the official campaign theme. And the UN also has a theme, which is rights, justice, action for all women and girls. Now, these two themes, they complement each other because they both encourage collective action, investment, and support to accelerate gender equality, focusing on providing resources, mentorship, and opportunities to help women thrive. Give to Gain focuses on investment in women's empowerment. And the UN theme focuses on removing structural barriers. Give to Gain calls for a mindset rooted in generosity, collaboration, and shared progress. It highlights the power of reciprocity. And reciprocity is simply the practice of exchanging things, favors, or behaviors with others so that there is mutual benefit. Let me just briefly share some key aspects and key objectives of this year's International Women's Day campaign. Now, there's a core message, and that core message emphasizes that when society gives women equal opportunities, the entire world gains. Are we in favor of that? Do we believe that? Yes, when society gives women equal opportunities, the entire world gains. And so, there are actionable areas as well. And the campaign encourages giving in various forms like visibility and voice. When we share each other's stories. It also gives resources and funding So when we provide tools and when we provide financial backing, we also are providing action for our women. Knowledge and mentoring. Some of us can mentor. We need to give back in that way. And justice and protection, and this is what we hear about a lot, ensuring safety and legal rights. So in the key objectives, when women thrive, we all rise. That's the impact. And so what we should be doing, our action should be that we encourage individuals, organizations, and other groups to take tangible steps in enabling empowerment for all our women. So, together, let us help forge gender equality through abundant giving. The campaign encourages a mindset of collaboration and generosity. So, we have to be also mindful that giving is not a subtraction. It's intentional multiplication. When women thrive, like I said earlier, we all rise. And whether through donations, knowledge, resources, infrastructure, visibility, education, training, mentoring, or time, whatever we can contribute, it helps create a more supportive and interconnected world. So today, Give to Gain is a worldwide call to contribute. Sharing our knowledge and encouragement with others is key. So I would invite you, there is a pose that we strike that is being struck this year for the theme. So let me share the pose with you. It's when we give from the heart, we give to gain, right? When we give from the heart, we give to gain. So we're going to do the last one because the two hands, I prefer that. So when we give from the heart, we give to gain. All right, so those of you who can stand, let's stand and do it. And we're going to say when you give from the heart, you give to gain, and then you're going to impersonalize it. When I give from the heart, I give to gain. Those who can't stand, we understand. Okay, let's go. 2, 3. When you give from the heart, you give to gain. When I give from the heart, I give to gain. Thank you. And may God continue to bless us as women as we give from the heart. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Julie Dubois. She is a young woman that I've grown to love and now holds a very special place in my heart. She is a domestic violence survivor and advocate for women and young girls in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, and is a member of our National Youth Arm. At this time, I would like to warmly invite Ms. Teresia Modest to bless us with a poem.
Good evening, everyone. Today, we celebrate International Women's Day, a day to honor the strength, courage, and resilience of women everywhere. We celebrate the woman we rise, even after the hardest nights. The woman who carries scars no one sees, who fought silent battles and still choose to stand tall. We celebrate the survivors, those who face gender-based violence and refuse to let it define their future. The woman who turned pain into power and fear into courage and tears into strength. Today is not just about flowers and smiles. It is about truth. It is about the voices that were once silenced but are now rising louder than ever. To every woman who is healing, to every woman who is fighting, to every woman who has overcome, your story matters. Your strength is powerful. Your wins, big or small, deserve to be celebrated. So today we celebrate the victories, the courage to speak, your wins, the courage to walk away, the courage to start again. May we continue to support one another, lift each other higher, and create a world where every woman lives free from violence, fear, and silence. Happy International Women's Day. Today we celebrate strength. Today we celebrate survival. And today we celebrate women. I thank you.
Well, I guess I'm not as strong as she is. Give her a big round of applause. All right, folks. You know, we all have our individual strengths, and that just is not one of my strengths. See how my hands are cute and small? Ladies and gentlemen, in Grenada, we have very powerful women in all walks of life, in all industries. Women lead in so many different ways. And even more, we see them continuing to be stars shining bright for the younger women in our society. It is my pleasure to introduce the next speaker on the program, someone who I admire. I don't think she knows that I admire, but I do. She is multi-talented as well. I don't know if you're aware of her singing qualities in that of opera. A person of the legal fraternity, and most persons know her in that light, but I have had the pleasure of listening to that amazing voice from time to time. And it shows that we are multi-talented as women. We have had several issues in the country in recent times. As a matter of fact, this is not the only activity taking place today that is dealing with and looking at the recent situations that our women folk have had to endure, including murder, abuse. And it is therefore an important topic for all of us, not only as women, men as well, to pay close attention to. A lot of times we are very limited with the understanding of justice and what happens. A lot of times we lack the understanding of what persons endure. I myself, I'll tell you this, and maybe you may find me wrong to say this, but every time we have that sort of situation existing in the country, there are two things we hear of: vigil and march. And after that, we hear nothing until the next incident occurs. We have to move that bar to the next level. Vigil and march. Am I lying? Today, I am pleased to invite a learned legal mind, Anande Trotman Joseph, to address some of those issues for us. I had to mention the singing part.
Good afternoon, distinguished sisters and brothers, but especially, how can we forget the female leader of the opposition, second time only in the history of the nation of Grenada, and of course, all of the distinguished members of parliament who are here with us, and of course, including our own guest speaker for today, the Honorable Jean Augustine, who went and took the name of Grenada to Canada. But it is with great pleasure and humility that I accepted the invitation to come and speak with you here as a women's arm with, of course, allies. Yes, allies who are male, who may not even be within your political organization. And what else could I do when our theme for today is give to gain? And indeed, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I will gain from you your attention and your energy, and I will gain also, hopefully, your commitment to be the persons of change in this nation. We know that the first quarter of 2026 began with what your organizers shared with me that they felt was heightened violence against our women. And of course, we all know that there was a sad loss of the lives of the young daughters of Grenada at the hands of brutal men at the very start of this year. We are all in collective shock and reacted to the violence, and as we heard, the violence of this femicide, not just homicide, but femicide, the murder of women. And we do mourn the loss of these two promising young women and grieve with their families. And yes, we marched, we held vigils, we rallied, we issued press releases, we appeared on multimedia shows, and so on and so on. Someone called me, a Grenadian sister in the diaspora, and asked me, does Grenada have blight or what? What's going on over there? Other persons called and asked, what is happening in that pure Grenada, Spice Island, that is supposed to be so peaceful, that is supposed to be one of the safest countries in the world? And all this started unfolding just when we were busy opposing a US Level 2 travel advisory. They're wrong. Grenada's paradise. It's safer than most places, people were saying. And as we introspect or look inwards as we discuss this heightened violence, of course, it is a default that we want to blame someone. We here today, you of the NNP, may want to blame, is the NDC in power? Blame them. The NDC may want to say, blame the NNP, they were here before us. Others may want to blame the victim. But the truth is, we should have seen it coming. Did we become desensitized to the creep of violence, gang violence, gun crime, and the constant prosecution of sexual offenses and crimes of violence, especially against our women and girls in our criminal assizes. The warning signs have been there all along. So today, as a lawyer who you've asked to come and speak to you about this upsurge of violence, I know you expect me to pull out my law books and start to quote you chapter, verse, as they say, but really sections and paragraphs of the laws. But as I come here, I'm not going to start off at all that way, because the problem of violence in our society doesn't start with the law. Does that surprise anyone if I say so? It's a sociological problem that ends up with the law and in the courts. So that is how I want us to look at this problem. And yes, it's a big problem that can no longer be swept under any carpet, any rug, or in any shallow grave. There are some truths that I have come to learn and understand through my own journey as a woman, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, and someone who was a child herself. I've been an organizational leader of organizations such as the Grenada National Coalition on the Rights of the Child for over 5 years. I'm with G now, and I have my sister Gloria Payne Banfield here with me, Sister Peggy, also from that organization, to which we have given a lot of our time and effort. And yes, we have been marching, we have been advocating, and we are also now trying to raise up the next generation of advocates. I have been parts of groups or led studies about gender-based violence in Grenada. I've sat on adoption boards, and I've even chaired a committee to end sexual violence against children in Grenada. Sexual violence against children. Let us think about that as I continue to speak, especially at a time when we see the Epstein files spilling out before us on the television and all across the multimedia. Yes, I want us to focus on a few truths that I have learned and I have experienced through this learning to share with you this afternoon. It might be a simple truth or truths, but I want us to internalize them. Violence in any of its forms is a crime. And, speaking here as a lawyer, a breach of someone else's human rights. But the most serious question I want to pose to us this afternoon is, where does violence start? And the simple answer is, often in a person's upbringing. And this is why this discussion requires the understanding of our life cycles. It is important to focus firstly on early childhood stimulation and early childhood education. The seed or the seeds of violence can and usually start in the family, in settings of intimate relationships, and in situations of power and control, where one person can be a parent, an older family member, a visitor, or a neighbor. There is also usually a breach or a lack of respect for another person. And we must remember that children are also persons too, and that their views and rights must be considered. And if the dignity of others is disrespected, this is where the problem starts. Think of how trusting children are. And we just heard a baby cry, probably right now being held close to stop her or his crying. And this is why breach of trust, starting from childhood, has a violent impact on other persons in the family and the society. And the truth is, another truth, that the very first symptoms of a violent temperament and tendencies are observed where? In our homes, in our schools, within the family settings, and while children are at play. We also have to remember that violence is learned behavior. And this learned behavior often breeds learned resentment and trauma that can be repeated through the generations. Bullying and cruelty, yes, they begin in our homes. The impacts of mental health from childhood through adulthood can begin in our homes when we as parents or older persons do not train the younger ones in our care to be resilient, to cope. And to be honest, sometimes it takes a long time for us to understand that we have to learn to cope. As a matter of fact, I remember when I was a young adult, I was having a particularly difficult time, and an older woman came and sat with me, and she said to me, "You have to learn to cope." That has stuck with me for the rest of my life, because no one ever told me growing up, not in my Catholic primary school or in my Catholic secondary school and later Anglican sixth form school, that I needed to cope. Instead, I was being told as part of my education to be disciplined, to accept, to be socialized as a good girl, as a nice person, to do the right thing, but no one had ever told me that. So this afternoon, I'm paying it forward. For anyone who has had or is having or will have a difficult situation, you have to learn to cope. So I also have learned that very often these impacts of our youth will be felt as someone gets older. And I've heard young men relate, even in the courtroom setting, that the reason that they are lashing out and hitting girls and women is because they could not retaliate when their mothers and their grandmothers beat them to a pulp with broomsticks, mortar sticks, hangers, shoes, whatever came in their way, as they beat in anger and frustration. So now men will tell you that in retaliation, they take it out. Whilst being adults, they take it out on people who they feel are helpless like they were. So yes, this is a women's arm. And we know that mothers in frustration beat. Yes, that's what Caribbean women do, don't they? But every action will have a reaction. Violence against women, especially sexual violence and intimate partner violence, is predominantly experienced by women and girls. That is a truth. But in the course of my own research right here in Grenada, I learned that there are women who beat men. Do we know that? No, you're saying yes, but just remember that it is predominantly the men who beat women. But when the women beat men, the police responders have shared with me in the course of research that the men are sometimes so embarrassed to report that they have been beaten that they send someone to call out the police out of the police station. And that is outside of the police station is where they make the report. Remember, what is good for the goose is good for the gander, and in the reverse. As I shared a little earlier, I spent a lot of time with the GNCRC, and there were good memories of good advocates doing a lot of good work tirelessly, sometimes too tired. But I do take with me always, as my own scar, the memory of a young child who was brought to the office of the GNCRC in Lucas Street. This child was going on 10, slender, with a body like a figure 1, but she was pregnant for a stepfather who had fled the island. She had no shape, no breast for nursing, but yes, she was expecting a child. And the doctor said that even though she looked this way, abortion is illegal. She has to make that child. I was so distressed that I had many sleepless nights. And forgive me, but I did get the news that somehow she was unable to sustain that life, because I could not see a way without harming her body. Already she was harmed mentally, but I could not see the way that she could make that child and nurse that child. We've had many reports of incestuous crimes and the cover-ups by family members who felt it was taboo. This left many of these child victims unsupported. We've heard stories, all of us have heard stories of infants and toddlers and young children who were molested. Yes, sexually molested or burnt or left with a boyfriend or stepfather or some such person who molested them. I took calls off air while on programs about mothers who are pimping out their daughters to support the entire household and family. I heard stories too, mothers, about boys who, through a study from St. George's University, self-reported that they had been sexually molested. I knew from my work that pedophilia was alive in Grenada. I know as a truth that it is obviously not dead. And therefore, we, as we have been careful about the girl child, we women need to be as careful about the boy child. And why am I saying all that? Because when we are talking violence, we have to remember that violence starts, as I said before, in childhood. And as part of the consequence of violence, the result will be we have persons right here. You can look behind, in front, to your side, who will be a person who is living with trauma. And I'm sure that a lot of you may know people who act up, act out, and when they become parents, they beat. They may not be the best of employees. They may not be the best of friends. And what happens then? Impatient bosses will just ignore them or fire them. Persons will avoid and shun them. But the truth is, very often, these are unhealed persons. And I'm getting more to understanding what we need to know. I heard in a conversation with a judge who was speaking about this problem only recently, who shared, I see evil every day. And this was particularly in response to the deaths of our sisters, who I spoke of, and we have already heard about that for this afternoon. I see evil every day. So how do we deal with evil? How do we manage evil? How do we fight evil? Last evening, I was right here observing and being a part of a play, the Cameron play, and in that 1 hour play, there was a priest and there was a mother, as they called them. And they were trying to manage evil, the lajabless that was coming onto the boat. But there are more practical ways besides managing evil. But yes, first and foremost, we do have to pray. And we have started this activity this afternoon through prayer. But there are some very practical responses that I have come to learn by paying attention to what was happening in this nation of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And I will go through now very quickly some of what we need to understand and focus on parenting and monitoring. This is very important in our homes, schools, and clubs. Parents, and by extension teachers, should be taught to recognize individual and family risk factors through paying attention to children's personalities, antisocial behaviors, temperaments of children, where it seems that there is low self-esteem. Attention also needs to be paid to child rearing methods, because what has been happening in recent decades, parents have been letting the television raise their children. But more so now in this digital age, children are being raised by YouTube, TikTok, and all the rest of it. And I can't tell you what is being said that they see on these shows. We have to pay attention to large families, which are sometimes poor families. We have to pay attention to school factors and peer influence of the children, school-age children. There are gangs, and we are hearing that there are gangs right here, and they're calling themselves the Crips and the Bloods as if they are in America or in California. We are seeing sometimes arson at schools, and very often that is on a dare to show that they are as bad or badder than in these gangs. We are seeing and hearing of old women, very old women being raped, and sometimes that is an initiation into gang life. Again, the bad and the badder and the baddest. So what can we do? We must have some kind of risk-focused prevention and intervention. We must recognize, and even recognize within ourselves, when help and counseling is needed. We cannot just continue to blame, we women that is, blame patriarchy, big word, for saying that men and their power and control and entitlement are responsible for all this. This is a women's arm event, and I want us today to take some accountability ourselves. And why am I saying that? For those of you who have studied sociology and psychology, you will know that there is a theory called unconscious bias. And yes, because of these years of and decades and centuries of patriarchy, where men run things and men rule things, women, girls have become accustomed to thinking that even though they make up 50% of the populations of the nations and of the world, that they just give up, give in, and accept whatever is meted out to them. and accept that men are always right. Even men know, having been raised by mothers and growing up with sisters, that this is impossible. But some women believe that blame the women, blame the victim. Also, of course, we have to collectively, and I'm asking you as a women's arm to use today's activity as a call to action. And I'm first calling you to consciousness. I shared earlier that someone encouraged me, and I'm paying it forward. So each of us, woman or man, must look at ourselves as stakeholders who can turn down, decrease the temperature of violence in Grenada. How are we going to do this? A lot of it requires inside work. Let us be less narcissistic. Let us be more considerate. In the middle of our busy lives, rushing to make a dollar, let us try to take time to see someone's silent cry for help. Why am I saying that? Because we're just ignoring everything in the interest of self-service. And I'm as haunted as that bus driver, as obviously not as much as he would be, who left the second victim of femicide for 2026, left her when she tried to flag him down for a ride out of where she was being held against her will. Think about it. Let us be more considerate. Let us find some more time for clarity, for consideration. I'm encouraging each of us to find the strengths in ourselves to deal with the violence in our homes and also in our society. Where we feel that we are not strong, we need to find courage. We need to be clear. We need to be intentional, and we need to be determined. There are outside actions too, along with the inside work. We all have to learn to say no. We have to learn to say, no, I'm not accepting violent behavior. If I'm to speak to our brothers who are here, you too have to self-regulate and say, yes, I'm stronger. I know I am by nature more aggressive, but I too have to learn to say no to disrespecting or being disrespectful to my spouse or to my sister or to anyone for that matter. Those of you who have experienced violence in any way or form, take responsibility for remaining sometimes in a situation that perhaps you should have left. Seek counseling. Leave a situation despite whatever excuse you are coming up with. Do not accept a label of being a victim. Do not wear that label across your forehead, because it's an energy, and everything about victimhood will come against you. You must reframe and reimagine yourself as a survivor. And a survivor has characteristics of resilience. Remember that you have worth, you have value. Each of us here work on your self-esteem. Yes, do the internal work. Work towards emotional and economic independence. Find your courage to speak and to act. Sisters, brothers, manifest a safe, violent-free Grenada. Safeguard the vision of paradise, pure Grenada. Think about it just for a few seconds. You, by your own efforts, can make this a reality. Those of you who are here, who are policy makers in Parliament, aspiring parliamentarians, make sure that you understand policy before even trying to pass laws. We're hearing a lot about sentencing guidelines, about prison rules and laws. What are we doing? What are we saying, especially about dangerous offenders, serial sexual offenders who are pathological? There must be new ways. You must, together as agents of change in a women's arm or in parliament or as constituents, caretakers, or constituent leaders, you have to find new ways of advocacy through training and through the multimedia. This women's arm, your women's arm, can encourage and support family safety nets. You must have messaging around parenting. You must have focus groups, not just for women, but for boys and your male colleagues, because these will be your allies in manifesting the change that is required. Let's shift. The shift starts from within. Let's shift. The shift starts today. Ask for help. Build a safety network for yourself, your family, your women's arm, your party, your nation. Be sisterly where you can, sisters. Brothers, be brotherly. Look for telltale signs of distress. And remember that song by Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive. Every time that song plays, women get up and they dance and they sing along. But because we are here not only as sisters, but with allies, we have with us too perhaps one of the longer male allies who has been agreeing and leading the passage of a lot of the legislation that we have today, and that is, of course, the Right Honorable Dr. Keith Mitchell, who is here with us. He took the time to listen to his sisters, to Sister Brenda, to Sister Clarice, to Sister Yolande, and all of the other sisters who were there in previous cabinets, telling him that we must have a legislative agenda that nips disrespect and violence against women and children, and generally in the bud. I trust the Right Honorable that even though you're retiring, that you will not give up the leadership of this cause to end violence in all of its forms, whether it's in a gang or whether it is in a home. And may everyone here remember that you are a stakeholder in the war against violence in any of its forms. Boots on, hit the road, spread the message, because with this message and fighting this war, women, children, Grenada will thrive. Yes, let us imagine Grenada, where there is no violence, where if anyone is violent, someone will report. Be a stakeholder, be a responder, have self-worth, value yourselves. It is war. We say war.
To whom much is given, much is expected. We have gotten a lot of food for thought. Thank you, Lady Anande Trotman. And if memory serves me well, she is one of the founders of Civil Grenada. So I just want to say, my dear sister, thank you so much for your service. I want to recognize in our midst our former Prime Minister and current chairman of the New National Party, Dr. Keith Mitchell. Thank you for always showing up and showing out. Our next speaker, she is an exceptional young woman, an advocate for disability, a UWI graduate, a former Writers Association president, a Toastmaster, an author. She's a member of the Youth Advisory Council. She's an inspiration. She has broken barriers and chains. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to invite Ms. Zinzi Noel to give a poem. Can we get a microphone for Zinzi? Please, thank you.
You know I like limelight.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah. So this poem was written in light of recent events, and this poem is called Enough. How many more women must become a memory before the world learns to hear our screams? How many more mothers must vanish from kitchens, from school gates, from the ordinary rhythm of life before the silence breaks? We are tired. Tired of candles lit for women who should still be breathing. Tired of photographs framed in grief. Tired of names spoken softly as if speaking louder might bring them back. A woman is not fragile glass. She is bone, breath, thunder, and fire. She is the rhythm of generations, the heartbeat that carries life forward. Yet still, her body becomes a battlefield. Her love becomes a weapon turned against her. How did we reach a world where the safest place for a woman is sometimes everywhere except the place she calls home? Tell me, what kind of love leaves bruises on the skin? What kind of love tightens like a fist around the throat? What kind of love turns a woman's final breath into a headline? That is not love. Call it what it is: violence, control, rage wearing the mask of affection. For generations, women were told to endure, to be patient, to forgive, to stay quiet, to keep the family together even when the family was tearing her apart. They called endurance a virtue. But endurance has buried too many women. Listen carefully now. A woman's life is not the price of a man's anger. A woman's body is not a place to store rage. A woman's voice is not something to silence. We are not statistics lined up in reports. We are not numbers to be debated in meetings. We are daughters. We are sisters. We are mothers. We are women who deserved to grow old. Somewhere tonight, a child will ask why his mother is gone. Somewhere, a family will sit with grief so heavy it feels like drowning. Somewhere, another woman will swallow her fear because she believes no one will listen. And that is the real tragedy. Because violence grows strongest in silence. So today, we refuse silence. Today, we speak the truth with voices that refuse to shake. Enough of the mourning, enough of the excuses, enough of the quiet acceptance of a violence that keeps repeating. We are not meant to live in fear of love. Women are not meant to survive the people who promise to protect them. We deserve more than survival. We deserve safety. We deserve respect. We deserve a world where being a woman is not a risk to life itself. And to every woman still standing, still breathing, still fighting, your life matters. Your voice matters. Your safety matters. And until the day comes when no woman's story ends in violence, we will keep speaking, keep demanding, keep rising, because women were never meant to die for love. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zinzi. Give her a bigger round of applause. That is a representation of ability and not disability. A strong young woman, she knows what she wants out of life, and she goes after it. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move along with the program, you know, the folks mentioned Dr. Mitchell. I'm so happy to see him here today. And if you go back in time, in all the political parties that ever passed through Grenada, the new National Party, under the leadership of Dr. Keith Mitchell, has had the most amount of women on board in Parliament. That's the legacy of his engaging of our women in leadership. And as a result, today, we have the Honorable Emlyn Pear. Credit to Doc, I need for you to take a stand for these ladies to give you a nice round of applause. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, man. We salute you. We thank you for believing in us. Without further ado, I'd like to take this opportunity to invite the chairperson of this event and, of course, the representative in Parliament for the constituency of St. Mark, Honorable Clarice Modest, to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Madam MC, and good afternoon to everyone. Permit me, dear friends, to recognize Honorable Emlyn Pear, MP, and political leader for the new National Party. Good afternoon, Madam MP. I recognize our chairman of the party and former Prime Minister and trailblazer in making Grenada inclusive for women. Thank you. Other members of Parliament, and let me recognize our Grenadian, Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, who is a fifth-year address presenter today. And the speaker who came before, Lady Anande Trotman. She again is a trailblazer, addressing issues and working with others, issues that confront women. Thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing such very, very pertinent information as you did. Thank you, Lady Anande Trotman. Other former members of Parliament who are here, thank you for accepting our invitation. I try to be careful not to single out, but in that front seat over to my left, we have Sister Otwe Noel, Alex, as we call her. Happy to see you, and any others who are here. Sister Yolan, of course, one of our former MPs, and Sister Brenda Hood. How can I miss you? And earlier I saw Sister Waldron with a nicer African outfit than me, and I ain't too happy, but it's all right, it's my sister. Other specially invited guests, distinguished ladies, the distinguished men who saw it fit to be with us, our candidates for the next election, friends all, I'm happy that you are here. My purpose is going to be, I'll try to make it brief, but one I'm honored to do on this day, International Women's Day. I just want to make a couple comments about International Women's Day, as it provides an opportunity for us to pause, to reflect and to honor the resilience, achievements, and leadership of women globally, and especially Grenadians at home and abroad. And to say that despite the setbacks, despite the many negatives that are going on, our women have done well, and we applaud them. And the theme, in keeping with the theme, I want to say, let us put our hearts and hands together to give. What do we give? To give love, to give of our competencies, our knowledge, our love, our determination. Those of us who are in Parliament, to give of our work to make sure that Parliament takes gender-sensitive legislation to the Houses of Parliament, and that not only are these legislations passed, but they are enforced, that they're given teeth, and that they are reflective. I know sometimes the lawyers say that the penalty must fit the crime, and I think we need to review that as well. And so, although I'm looking at a broader view of achievements as well as some of the disappointments that we have had, especially in recent times, in terms of gender-based violence, I want to honor a very special lady here who has been exemplary to all of us, who has been a mentor to all of us when she comes at home, but so much more by her performance in Canada. And I want to just say a few things on Honorable Jean Augustine, who left here. I think she's from Happy Hill. I meant to verify that. The home village of our former Prime Minister. Happy Hill Happy Hill must be very proud. Happy Hill must be very, very proud. They stormed the walls or the halls of Parliament in Grenada and wherever they go. We've had others. We've had one other that I know of. But Sister Jean Augustine, you're a trailblazer, and I'm so happy that you have accepted our invitation to be here. This lady left Grenada for Canada under the West Indian domestic scheme. And I want us to bear that in mind, domestic scheme. She went for a job, but I'm sure she was thinking of some lower level job that would give her some income and give her a better quality of life. But she became the first black woman elected to the House of Commons in Canada. She has held several portfolios, including Minister of State for Multiculturalism and for improvement of the status of women in the Cabinet of Canada. During her tenure, she defended and fought for the rights of the disadvantaged, especially women, and for African Canadians in Canada. One of her biggest, I call it your biggest standalone achievement, was piloting a bill in the Houses of Parliament for the recognition of February as Black History Month in Canada, and she's well recognized for that. Following her retirement, she has served as patron of several non-profit organizations in Canada. And this lady is still busy, Every time I speak to her, she's in a meeting, she's somewhere, she's doing some good somewhere. Lady, you are a phenomenon to follow. I don't know how many of us, but you inspire us, and we'll try to see what we can do to follow your act. And so the documentary Steadfast bears testimony to that. And I just want to take this opportunity to encourage all of us who can, some would have seen that documentary before. It has been screened in Grenada previously, but this time, in her honor, we're screening it again, and we hope that we can pull that off on Wednesday at the Grenville Deluxe Cinema, beginning at 1 o'clock. We have invited the school children, because I think young people need to see that, to be inspired and motivated, to know that no matter where you come from, you can always, the sky is always the limit once you're motivated. And I know that this will motivate her. So it will be at the Deluxe Cinema, and I want to encourage all those who can go, adults as well. It's at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Deluxe Cinema. Honorable Jean Augustine, if I were, I looked up your portfolio on the, I Googled it, and there's so much to be said here. I just pulled out a few, and I made sure I write it so I wouldn't overextend my welcome right here at this podium. But lady, you have inspired us. You continue. And not only do you do your work in Canada, but I know of several institutions and schools that have benefited from your generosity and your involvement right here in Grenada. It gives me great pleasure, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, our dear friend, my dear friend, to the podium at this time.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you to all the honorable people who are here, starting with former Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, elected officials, and all those who have been contributing to the development of this country, and all those who are ensuring that our communities grow. I'm pleased and proud to be here today as a Grenadian, standing on the soil to reconnect with my roots. I left Grenada as a young woman. I left not because I didn't like Grenada, but I left because I thought there would be opportunities after secondary school. And so I took the opportunity of the Canadian West Indian program, knowing that that was not what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life, but I knew that it was an opportunity to get myself and be enabled to reach my full potential. I learned growing up in Happy Hill, yes, Clarice in Happy Hill, that there was nothing that I could not do as a young woman. I heard it from everyone around me, all the women around me. Yes, you can. I became a teacher, I became a community builder, an advocate, and an activist, because I was looking for and trying to find the opportunities to contribute and to be part of community life. There was something we used to say when I was head of the Congress of Black Women of Canada: bloom where you are planted. And so I was planted in Toronto, and I felt I had the obligation to bloom, to become engaged, to be involved. So I was a Grenadian, I was at a time when Canada did not fully recognize the potential of all of its people, at a time when the civil rights movement in the United States and all the query around racism and anti-Black racism and lack of opportunities for someone like myself, it was really an opportunity for me to become engaged, to be an activist. But as a woman, that was high on the agenda. And so this International Women's Day, with the theme, rights, justice, action for all women and girls. And I want to commend you, my dear advocate, for the work that you're doing, and also for explaining to us in detail some of the issues that are faced by women in this country, not only in Grenada, everywhere around the world. But we must start where we are. And so the call to action that was presented to us today is really to start where we are. We cannot look around the world and see the miseries and say, oh, well, Grenada is, we cannot do that comparative. We have to do what we can right here. And I want you also to visualize our world right now and to recognize that every country in the world, every place in the world, International Women's Day is celebrated, is memorialized. Think about this. You know the geography, and you know that there are places in the world where people are sleeping right now. There are places in the world where people are just waking up. There are places in the world where the consciousness of this very special day that was set apart and started way back in 1911 from women who were concerned about their lives in the marketplace, the employment situation of those women. And so, when I think about Grenada, and in the early days when I spoke about the strong Grenadian women, some come to mind, and I'm not leaving anybody out for any specific reason. I think of extraordinary Grenadian women. Cynthia Gary, the first woman to sit in our House of Representatives in 1961. Jacqueline Kreft, Minister of Education, who championed universal education for every child on this island. There are all kinds of things that are written about that work. I think of Jennifer Hostin, who in 1970 became the first Black woman to be crowned Miss World. And in doing so, she told every little girl in the world, across Grenada and across the African diaspora, you are seen, you are worthy, you belong, you can compete. I also remember Dame Hilda Bino, the first woman, GG, I think in the Commonwealth, in the entire Commonwealth, as Governor General. And then, of course, in today's world, following in her footsteps, Dame Cecile Lagrenade, our present Governor General. So again, we can list And one of the things that I do as a proud Grenadian is ask, where is the museum with the names of all these people all around the world who are doing so much, both men and women, and who are putting Grenadian and Grenada on the map? So the next time I come, I want to see a museum, I want to see a hallway, I want to see somewhere where all around we can see Grenadians who are making this island proud. But again, these women that I mentioned earlier did not have an easy path. They all held a clear sense of purpose, and they refused to be stopped. 32 years ago, when I took my place in the Parliament of Canada, with a deep appreciation of the tremendous opportunity that it presented me with those opportunities to make a difference for so many people. I brought a voice to the Parliament of Canada that was much needed at the time. That voice which must find its place around the decision-making tables. One that would impact and influence so much in Canadian society. We think it was also important that that proud Canadian, born in Grenada, whose experience included the intersectionality of being a Black woman, a mother raising 2 girls, an educator, an immigrant, a Catholic, a community builder, etc., that voice was important. And because I earned the right through election to take that place, I was able to make the case for issues that were important to me and people like me. It turned out that there would be issues found to be important to the entire country. For example, my understanding of the plight of low-income residents gained while chair of the Metro Toronto Housing Authority helped me secure vital protections in landmark employment insurance legislation. And there might be 1 or 2 of you who might remember that I came to Grenada very early on behalf of the Government of Canada to do what was called reciprocals. That is, a Grenadian should be able to take their pension to Canada, and a Grenadian Canadian should be able to take their pension to Grenada. Prior to my intervention in all of that activities, it was not happening. And so Canada was better for that, and Grenadians in Canada benefited from that. But I think that as we work, as you participate, as you contribute, as you make your families strong and better, the passion for women's equality and all the experiences that you gain day in and day out. Yesterday with my group, and there were about 14 or 16 Canadians who were here with me, Some of them, their first time in Grenada, and they're sitting, I think, in rows 2, 3. We went in the market, and I think we dropped a lot of money in the market. You should see the bags of spices and cinnamon and clove and nutmegs and everything, because everyone came with a list from family and friends with the recognition that Grenada, as the Isle of Spice, can contribute to whether it's their businesses or whether it is their homemaking endeavors or whether it is to the culinary arts. So you see, we all can do whatever we can right where we are. We all can make our contribution. More and more, we recognize that the world is small. When I was growing up, I used to hear about the global village. And for a long time, this notion of the global village. But we know now that we are indeed in a global village. And it is technology. It is all the discussions around AI. It is the intervention of political leaders that create conflict and dissonance in so many parts of the world, that have brought the world and all its troubles, as it were, right to our doorstep. So today, as we look at progress that we've made, as we see that we've moved away from where we used to be in terms of our knowledge of the world, we look too to the situation of women, and this is what International Women's celebrations do. The United Nations tell us that right now, in 2026, women have only 64% of the legal rights that men have worldwide. So in fundamental areas of life, work, safety, family, property, business, retirement, the law systematically disadvantages women. And if progress continues at this pace, if progress continues at this current space, it will take 286 years to reach gender parity. Can you imagine? To reach gender parity, unless we do what you are doing in Grenada, ensuring that women are in the political arena, ensuring that women are in the boardrooms of the country, ensuring that women speak up, stand up, and raise families that are productive, and that we need to get that pace going so that it would not take us 286 years to reach parity. Let me remind you quickly about some of the things that the United Nations, and many of you here were engaged in that activity. 1975, the first World Summit in Mexico City, when we asked the question, where are the women of the world? What's the status of women around the world? And we came back at the end of that conference in 1975 with the agreement that in 10 years we can bring about that we can raise the status of women and give us that gender parity. And so 10 years, whatever happened in Grenada, I'm not absolutely certain, but I know in Canada, we started up status of women's organizations, and we started to do the work. 10 years later, when we went back for the second United Nations World Conference in Nairobi, we found out that we had not really, we just kind of skimmed the top. And we had not made the advances that we could or should have made. And so the cry was, give us 10 more years and we'll fix it all. And so we went to Beijing in 1985. And in Beijing, of course, we still had not made the progress of women around the world, women in conflict areas, rape as a victim of war, women's place and places in the society, places where women were not able to go to the market on their own, had to be accompanied, places where they could not get credit on their own. And so on and on and on the conversation went. And of course, the hue and cry that came out of Beijing was women's rights, human rights. And so we've been walking along and moving along with that recognition. But we know that progress is not automatic. It requires vigilance. It requires women and the men who stand with them to keep showing up, to keep demanding and refusing to accept a version of equality that would leave anyone behind. And just listening to the speakers before me, I know that there is full awareness of what needs to be done. I know that you are on the track, that you know it's a work in progress, and that you have to bring everyone with you. Those rooms of power and influence and decision making, they're better today because women like you have done so much to make and to speak for equality. So Grenada will be better still with more voices, more of all voices, filling the room where decisions are made. Because we know, to go back to the theme, rights matter, justice matters, but without action, they remain promises. And one of the things that I say in terms of the advance of young women and to give that affirmation to young women is the fact that you have girls' school and the opportunities where girls learn together, where they could be affirmed. So what does action look like? It looks like a girl who finishes school because someone fought to make that school and that community safe and possible for her. It looks like a woman who leaves an unsafe situation because the system actually protects her and does not re-traumatize her in the process. Action looks like a young woman in this room who are building businesses, raising families, leading organizations, and being recognized for it. For those of you who are able and willing, mentor a young woman. Take a young woman under your wing. Make sure that she knows that life is not, and something I learned here way back, life is not a bed of roses. but it is the fall on your behind, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep on going, and that you as an older, you as a senior, can mentor that young person. Show them who we are as Grenadian women and what we are capable of. Tell them about their rights and remind them of the good, strong Grenadian women who've brought us thus far. Tell them about justice. Tell them about their own responsibility to community. And I told a story the other evening of a long, long time ago going with my old grandmother to some meeting, and there was something on a banner. And on that banner there was a saying, and I think I was about 3 years old at the time, but I learned this in Grenada and carried this with me my entire life. And the banner said, "If it is to be, it is up to me." And not only was I able to read those 2-letter words, but I understood that if it's to be, it's up to me. That I cannot fold my arms and say, let somebody else do it. That each one of us has that responsibility. So we arrive shaped by the women who came before us, carrying the knowledge of what it costs to be overlooked, and fueled by the conviction that the next generation will not pay that same price, which is what mentoring is about, to help an individual so that their path could be a little better, and the path could be a little better for them than it was for you. So I say to you today, this year, this International Women's Day 2026, let us rise to dismantle the structural barriers to equal justice, discriminatory laws, weak legal protections, harmful practices, and social norms that erode the rights of women and girls. Women's rights are not negotiable, and justice is not optional. Our action is not just welcome, it is necessary. And so I want to thank each and every one of you for the opportunity to know you, to learn from you, to see your experiences, and to share those experiences in a national and international forum. So thank you, the group that has come down with me. I've been talking so much about Grenada and what Grenada has and what Grenada offers. And so everybody wants to come when I say I'm coming. At the same time, I want to recognize those women who are constant mentor to me, people like Brenda Hood and others, Clarice, that I can pick up the phone and speak to about important issues. So let's join hands all across the world with women who are today recognizing International Women's Day. So let's all be blessed.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine. Your story is a testament of your strength and resilience. And one thing stood out: it is not how you start, but how you end. So bloom wherever you're planted. When I think about phenomenal women, I think about all of you in this room. Each of you represents strength, resilience, and the power of women uplifting one another. So I encourage you to be your sister's keeper. At this time, I invite Senator Dr. Mayana Charles to introduce. We're doing something else.
Call up Yolande Bain to give us.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so we have a slight change. There is a song that says, "Give me my flowers now, while I can smell them. Give me my flowers now, not on my grave." And we in the New National Party, we believe in giving our tokens of appreciation right now while people are alive. So at this point in time, I invite former MP for St. Andrews Southwest, Ms. Yolande Bain Hosford, to do a presentation.
Thank you very much. My hands ain't so strong too, you know, Shoma. Happy International Women's Day to all the women in the house. Yes. Let me recognize our political leader. Let me also recognize our former Prime Minister and Chairman of the party, our distinguished women, both in the Parliament and past parliamentarians. I also want to recognize the 14 team members of Honorable Jean Augustine. Please stand. Please stand, let the audience see you. They came down here as a team to support her and to be part of this ceremony today. Put your hands together for them. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on board. Now, so much has been said about this honorable lady, but I too could say a lot because she touched my life in so many ways. I listened to her. I listened to her message in the early days when I was Director of Women's Affairs. And a lot of women here could attest to that. The training, the different, the little speeches we got, the information she shared on her life and how she has improved her life. A simple, simple woman coming from Happy Hill as a domestic worker, going to Canada on a domestic workers' trail. Today, she's in the Parliament of Canada. Put your hands together. She was, well, I know. She have moved on. Put your hands together for this great lady. So today we want to honor you. Such a woman of substance, I would say. Valuable woman of substance. We want to honor Dr. Jean Augustine. And this plaque here, it says, presented to Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, an exceptional, phenomenal Grenadian woman with a legacy of sterling leadership, particularly in the areas of women's rights, defense of African Canadians, and the socially disadvantaged. The pleasure is mine to hand this over to you. And this is on behalf of the NNP Women's Steering Committee and also all the Grenadian women here today. Thank you very much. We love you.
Well, thank you very much. I am honored. This is my 89th year. 1937 was a very good year. So I'm really pleased. That's why I have to have the help to go up and down the stairs. The body rebels.
She shouldn't tell you her age, you know. You see how well she looks? I would also take the opportunity to call Lady Anandi Trotman Joseph. We must all say that we were very impressed with the presentation here this evening. And not only with the presentation, Lady Anandi has been working with women since she arrived on the soil of Grenadian soil. I have had the opportunity to work with her as well during my stint as Director of Women's Affairs and also Minister of Social Development. And we have learned a lot from her expertise as a lawyer, and I believe also she did a lot of work on women's development and women's rights, etc. So the pleasure is mine this evening to hand over this bouquet of flowers to her, to show appreciation for all the work she has done, and also for this very, very, very wonderful presentation we have had here this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, for your kind attention, and of course, thank you, Sister Yolande, and it is my pleasure to have shared with you. I see we need a picture.
Thank you, Ms. Horsford, for your presentation, and a special thank you to our speakers. Once again, I invite the phenomenal Zinzi Noel to perform her final poem.
Okay. Yes. This one is called She Who Rises. Before the world called you powerful, it called you quiet. Before it called you leader, it called you helper. Before it recognized your brilliance, it asked you to dim it. For centuries, your footsteps were softened, your voice lowered to a whisper, your dreams folded neatly between the pages of expectation. They told you your place was behind the door that smelled of bread and soap, hands wrapped in dishwater, hips carrying generations. They told you your destiny was measured in the rhythm of lullabies, in the careful stitching of family names, in the silent strength of sacrifice. And you did it. You loved fiercely, you nurtured endlessly, you carried worlds in your arms while the world insisted you carried nothing at all. But inside you, there were always a storm waiting, a quiet rebellion in the bones of girls who refused to stay small. You were never meant to remain in the shadows of history. You are meant to write it. Look at you now. You stand in rooms they once said you could never enter. Your voice echoes through halls that once erased you. You sit at tables built without your name carved into them, and yet you claim your seat anyway. You are the woman who signs the laws, the woman who breaks the silence, the woman who teaches the next girl that the sky was never the limit. You are the strategist, the builder, the healer, the voice in the crowd that refuses to be quiet anymore. And to the woman who has been told she is less, the woman in the wheelchair who is told her dreams must shrink, the woman whose skin, body, accent, or scars are used as reasons to underestimate her, the mother who wakes before the sun and sleeps after the world has closed its eyes, the woman rebuilding herself after heartbreak, after loss, after being told she would never survive. Listen closely. You are not the exception. You are the proof. Proof that strength does not ask permission. Proof that resilience grows in the hardest soil. You are the daughter of women who endured storms without ever being called warriors. You are the granddaughter of women who broke chains with hands the world called fragile. And now you stand here, a living continuation of every woman who refused to disappear. So rise. Rise when they doubt you. Rise when they silence you. Rise when the weight of expectation tries to bend your spine. Rise not because the world finally believes in you, but because you have always believed in yourself. Rise like the tide that no hand can hold back. Rise like the sun that no night can permanently bury. Rise for the girl who is still learning her worth. Rise for the woman who forgot her own power. Rise for the generations that will one day speak your name as proof that change was possible. Woman, you are never the background to history. You are always the force that moved it forward. And no matter what the world says, no matter how many times they try to write you smaller, remember this: you were never made to merely exist. You are made to rise. Thank you.
Beautiful. You were never meant to be in the shadows of history. You were meant to write it. You were meant to break the silence and to have a seat at the table. My dear ladies, you were meant to break those barriers. At this time, I invite Senator Dr. Mayana Charles to introduce our political leader.
Good afternoon to all, and a special welcome to all the incredible women amongst us today. Give yourselves a round of applause. Today is a special day. Today we honor you. We celebrate your resilience, your strength, and your continued contributions to our families, our communities, and nation building. Before I continue, let me recognize the chairman of the new National Party and former Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit-Martinique, and a man who has always supported women in leadership, Dr. Keith Mitchell. I would also like to recognize our phenomenal guest speaker, the Honorable Jean Augustine, and her posse from Canada. Give yourselves a round of applause. To my colleagues, former parliamentarians, and to all the women and men who continue to stand beside us and stand in solidarity with us, I welcome you. On this special occasion of International Women's Day, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce a truly outstanding woman of leadership, service, and vision, the Honorable Emmeline Pear. A woman who has always been so welcoming to all female parliamentarians and continues to inspire and provide guidance and support to myself and many others. Emmeline Pear has a rich history of contributing to Grenada's community and national development. Her professional journey commenced as a young journalist, transitioning into a teaching role and subsequently assuming the position of Deputy Director of Youth. Additionally, she held various voluntary roles, including Regional Coordinator of the Commonwealth Youth Program, President of the Leo Club of St. George and St. Andrew, President of the National Youth Council, and a host of television and radio programs aimed at youth empowerment. She later moved on to serve as a government minister and member of parliament. The Honorable Emmeline Pear entered Grenada's upper house of parliament in 2003 at the tender age of 27. Let's give her a round of applause. She has since served as a Minister for Youth, Sport and Religious Affairs, followed by Minister of Education, Human Resource Development, Information and Religious Affairs. Over the past 2 decades, she has been an integral figure in frontline politics, elected as a Member of Parliament on 3 consecutive occasions. She is the political leader of the new National Party and the opposition leader in Grenada, leading a party that has long supported women, with 40% of its candidates being women. In addition to her public service, Ms. Pear has been a consultant since 2011, offering her expertise to both the public and private sectors locally and regionally. She holds fellowship status of the Institute of Leadership and Management and is a certified leadership practitioner, trained leadership assessor, as well as a trained executive and life coach. Mrs. Pear also serves as a guest lecturer from time to time. The Honorable Emmeline Pear has pursued studies in areas such as youth development, leadership, emotional intelligence, and human resource management. She also holds a master's in business administration, specializing in leadership and innovation from Edinburgh Napier University, and is currently pursuing doctoral studies at Walden University. Her steadfast work ethic and unwavering commitment to excellence are outstanding. She is truly a phenomenal woman. Married for 30 years, Mrs. Pear is a devoted mother of 3 boys, a community leader, and a minister in the New Testament Church of God in Grenada. At this moment, I invite all of you to stand and join me in welcoming our phenomenal political leader of the new National Party, a woman with a wealth of experience and a woman that will change the status quo in Grenada. And I am confident that she will be the next and first female Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Mayana Charles. And let me say how humbled I am to respond this afternoon with some very brief remarks. Permit me to recognize former Prime Minister of this country, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. I also recognize sitting Member of Parliament, Dr. Clarice Modest Cowan, all former members of Parliament, and I did not see my colleague sister there. I also recognize Honorable Keith Lewis Peters, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Northeast. Permit me to also recognize all former members of Parliament who are with us today. Of course, our special guest, honored guest, I recognize Honorable Dr. Jean Augustine, and of course, I recognize to Lady Trotman Joseph, who also delivered very important remarks this afternoon. Executive members of the New National Party, other special guests in our midst, and I recognize Lady Gloria Payne-Banfield, who is also with us as a special guest today. Ladies and gentlemen, women all, good evening to all of you. Happy International Women's Day to every woman to the sound of my voice. May God bless you. May God bless all of your efforts as women. Today, I want to take a moment to not just recognize you, but to also say that in our midst, the women who are here, you have all contributed to the development of this country. Some of you as legislators, some of you in various public service roles, but do not underestimate the role that every mother in this room has played to the development of communities throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. To every woman, you are a woman of value. You have contributed so well. When I think of the value of women, I go right back to the Bible. And God himself found that it was not good enough. Something very important was missing. And so when we think of the value of women, we think about how much women were critical from the very creation. And if we think of what this world would have been without a woman, it would have been no world at all. Adam himself admitted it was not good enough. He could not find anything good enough as a partner. And so I want to say to every woman here today, never underestimate your value, how important you are. There's a saying that women hold up half of the sky. And I'm hearing someone arguing 3/4. Whatever percentage it is, I recognize the importance of every woman, not just in your homes, where many of you are the glue that keep your families together. Many of you come from families, from homes, where you are the sole breadwinner. And many of you have survived the battles that many women fight to achieve what they have achieved over the years. For some of you, you can stand boldly and say, you did it on your own as a woman. And so we are proud of you for the fight, for the purpose that you've put behind life. And the fact that you are here today as we celebrate, there is an important lesson that you never gave up. And in that same spirit, I want to encourage every woman here today that you have an important responsibility to inspire another woman. There is some woman in your community looking at you, and they're amazed at how you were able to make ends meet, how you were able to raise the number of children that you raised without a partner. They are looking at women like you and wondering, how did you do it? Raise a family, hold a job together, get an education, and still be a successful, phenomenal woman. There are women who are looking at you, and they are inspired by how you were able to walk away from situations where you felt enough was enough, and that you were still able to hold your head high and to carry your dignity with you as you placed an example on record for your girls behind. For many of you, as women, as old people would say, you suck salt so that your own children can be where they are today. I commend you, I applaud you, I celebrate you, women, for the sacrifices that you've made. But today, as we celebrate every successful man, every successful woman, every successful girl, there's one single thread that leads back to a woman who has fought hard and who may have spent sleepless nights making sacrifices. So only recently, I attended an activity where a gentleman was recognized, very outstanding son of the soil. And he was recognized for his many years of service, his great accomplishments. And when he responded, he started off by saying, all of these recommendations, all of these recognitions, all that you said in honoring me today, please forward them to my mother, who is the reason that I am who I am today. And I'm sure that great men among us, like Dr. Mitchell, if you ask him, I am certain that he would say to you, I am who I am because of a woman who raised me the way that she did. But my encouragement to the men who are with us today, and I honor you for joining us today, is that in the same way that you recognize the role that your mothers would have played in your own life, I encourage you today to inspire other men to love and respect every woman that they come in contact with. Because too many of our women are still not loved and respected in the way that they ought to, the way that it was supposed to be from the very creation. I also want to place on record, it was referenced earlier, but I want to be a little more specific. And you may find it strange that on International Women's Day, I'm calling men to action. Because earlier today, reference was made to the percentage of women in Parliament under the stewardship of Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell. And I want to share this statistic with you, statistics that point to this as a fact. In that when the New National Party left office in 2022, Grenada ranked 9th internationally as it relates to women represented in Parliament, internationally. As a matter of fact, Grenada was only second in the top 10 to Cuba in the region. Interesting. Brothers and sisters, sadly, I have to say to you that today, in 2026, we rank in the world number 58. From number 9 to number 58. And people like our dear sisters who shared so passionately and so deeply with us today, I believe they understand so very well, as I'm sure most of the women in this audience understand the importance of women representation at the highest level. And permit me, it is not politics, permit me to say to you, as in the usual New National Party style, we are going to change this again. Brothers and sisters, I give credit and recognize again Dr. Mitchell for his recognition of the important role and the value of women in national development. And that is why I call on every woman here today, do not underestimate the opportunity that you have to serve in various roles and how you can change for the better the lives of women everywhere, in your communities, in your home, everywhere. So what is my call to action, my encouragement to us as women now, this evening? Our theme for this year says, give to gain. And the question is, what more can we give? I'm sure some women are asking, what more can we give? Because there are some women who feel they give everything. And sadly, sometimes it appears very little in return after much sacrifices. It is so painful sometimes, the circumstances that women experience. Just before coming here, I was sitting with a family in the presence of the mother, father, of one of the young ladies who were brutally killed recently. And you know, you try everything to change the subject, to speak about every other thing, but you can't help thinking, how does a mother feel to stomach this as an experience? And so I'm appealing to every mother, every woman, even if you're not a biological mother, your children may have grown old at this stage, but there's a boy in your home, there's a boy in your community, there's a boy somewhere that needs love, encouragement, and support. When we speak of perpetrators, for example, we are not speaking about people that are not from anyone. They are our sons from our homes. And it's the reason why I'm saying to us as women, what can we give? We can give more love to our boys, more guidance and support to our boys, so that when they become men, we would have impacted their lives in such a way that they have no choice but to respect and love women. Let us give more to our boys. Let us invest in our girls, whether we are biological parents or not. Every girl, let us make it our responsibility to guide. We just have to look around in our society, and we must know that things are not going in the direction that they should go. And every single one of us, let us leave here with a commitment that we are going to be some girl's mentor, some girl's advisor, some girl's safe haven that they can run to, that they can talk to, that they can reach out to. What do we give? What do we have to give when we leave this room today? I encourage all of us, finally, what can we give? There is something that we can do to help end gender-based violence. Let us be honest. Sometimes we hear, sometimes we even see, sometimes we know sufficient that we can do more. I encourage us this evening, let us not have another vigil. Let us not have another march, but let us do something individually in our own ways that we can make a bigger difference. Let this be our International Women's Day commitment for 2026. But it would be remiss of me to not end as the leader of the new National Party by saying to you, so much has been done over the years, and I give credit to the women under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell for our many achievements over the years. But I leave you with a commitment this evening that as an organization, we are going to continue, as we did under the Spotlight Initiative. There were some 19 pieces of legislation. We are going to continue to push for additional legislation to protect our women and our girls, to protect the rights of women and girls. But I give you a further commitment this afternoon that we are going to continue to do everything possible to ensure that we go further and beyond all of what we've done before, to do far more to protect and to serve and to look out for the interests, the empowerment of women and girls throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. So I say to you this evening, let us join hands together, work together. Let us have one mission at the end of this International Women's Day, that together we are going to do everything in our power to protect every woman and every girl that we can protect. God bless you, and God bless all of our women and girls today.
Thank you so much, political leader. You know, it is often said that if you give a woman a house, that she will give you a home. If you give her groceries, she would give you a meal. If you give her sperm, she would give you a baby. But if you give her problems, she would give you hell. As we near the conclusion of this evening's event, brothers and sisters, my dear sisters, as I want to say this to you, that bloom wherever you're planted, that you are beautiful, that you are strong, that there is space for you, and that you are the movers and shakers of our society. I want to say, be the best version of yourselves. Because you, whatever you do, affect our homes, and our homes affect our society, and our society affects our nation. Happy International Women's Day. At this point in time, I want to invite once again Dr. Julie Dubois to do the vote of thanks.
Once more, the pleasure is mine to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for observing and recognizing International Women's Day. We say thanks to all who contributed to this afternoon's program. We want to thank God, first of all, for the beautiful weather we have. We want to thank Him for taking us here safely. And not only locally, but we want to thank God for taking Dr. Jean Augustine and her, I almost said team. And when I said to her, you and your team, on Friday evening, she said, no, my posse. So we want to thank God for taking you and your posse here safely. We want to thank you also for that wonderful address you gave us. And I'm sure every woman here was inspired. Everybody here learned something, not only about you, but something that they can take away and personalize. Thank you so much for remembering your homeland. To Lady Anande Trotman Joseph, as always, the passion was felt. And we want to say thank you for accepting. Thank you for all that you said that awakened us to more purpose, to be the women that we should be, to have each other's backs and to protect and serve. To our political leader, we thank you for the advice. We thank you for all that you shared with us. We know that we feel you whenever you speak to us. And we want to say thank you so, so much for being here with us and for embracing us in that way. Dr. Mitchell has, he did say he had a prior engagement, but he came here nonetheless, and we appreciate the time he spent here. And while I'm on him, I just want to say thank you to all the men who came out this afternoon with us. We appreciate you. We thank you for the support. To all others who took part, like Sister Lisa McDonald, thank you for the anthem, and Zinzi, those poems, I mean, I wish I could learn them and recite them every day. They were so powerful. Weren't we motivated by the poems? Yeah. Yeah, we thank you so much. We thank God for you and your talent. We want to thank Reverend Greta St. Hill. Thank you so much, because without God, we are nowhere and we are nothing. Thank you for blessing us and invoking God's presence here this afternoon. We want to say thank you also to all our guests, all our special invited guests. You could have been somewhere else. You could have found many things to do. It's Sunday afternoon, tomorrow's work, many other places you could be. But to the specially invited guests, we thank you, our former parliamentarians, all our candidates who are here. I know you're busy, but you still found the time to be here, and especially for the male, we really want to again say thank you so much. We thank Mikey Live for, as usual, supporting and bringing us around the world so that people can see what we're all about here in Grenada on International Women's Day. We thank the management and staff of the Grenada Trade Center for accommodating us, as usual, with grace and style. We thank all those who did the presentation, Sister Yoland, and we thank you so much for. I want to also thank our MCs. I think they did wonderful, Sister Shoma and Sister Amanda. Sister Amanda is up and coming. Yes. I want to say a special thank you. You know, no man is an island. No man does it alone. And behind the whole program here today, there's a team of people who came together to make things happen. And so for the team who worked so very hard, going beyond their call of duty as it relates to the team, I want to say thank you so much. I hope I'm not leaving out anybody. We have Sister Yolande Bain Hosford, we have Dr. Modeste, we have Sister Shummer. Now, I think I will get a lawsuit, but I will call a name. We have Sister Peggy Nesfield, and all the decorations, and so she was behind all that, and pulling up, and coming up in the rear for a lot of stuff that we were kind of behind with. And Peggy, you did say not to call your name, but I could not do it. So I want to thank you so much. And we also had Sister Cheryl Williams, to the executive, to the secretariat of the New National Party, the office. We want to thank you to Ms. Campbell and her team also for all that they've done. And to all of you, give yourselves a round of applause, because without you, this could not happen. Thank you again, and may God bless you. Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Dr. Dubois, the president of the New National Party's Women's Arm. Give her a round of applause. I have a key that was lost, a vehicle key, outside, so if you check your pocket, it looked like a key from 1920, so I'm not sure what kind of vehicle. So please check with us for this. I also want to let you know that in the annex, we have a few of our local entrepreneurs with craft pieces, jewelry, etc. on sale in the event that you want to venture next door and purchase something uniquely made here in Grenada. There's also fruit juices on sale and water as well. Folks, we've come to the end of the program for today. It has been a pleasure having you with us, and I want to thank my co-host, who I think did an amazing job. And next time, make sure you vote for her. All right? She is one of the candidates for the New National Party. Ladies and gentlemen, give to gain. Thank you so much.